ESPN2 Wednesday night fights presented by the new Just for Men hair color. Knocks out the gray better than ever. You in the mood for some female strawweights? We are. Sandra Ortiz is set to face Sarah Goodson in a rematch of their April fight. There is Sandra Ortiz. She goes by the nickname of Smo. Those are her initials. She won the first fight against Sarah Goodson by majority decision back on April 5th. She is from Topeka, Kansas, and she is 7'3" 4'9", a quarter pound over a century mark. And there is 32-year-old Sarah Goodson. She moved to the United States from the Philippines at age 19. She lives in Paris, Arkansas, and she has 19 wins and 15 losses and a draw in her career. She's 4'11", 102 3/4.
Obey my commands and protect yourselves at all times. Touch the gloves and go back and wait for the bell. 8 rounds.
Tony Krebs, the referee. 8
Max.
rounds, 2-minute rounds in women's boxing.
That's Sandra. That's Sarah.
As you said, Ortiz won their first encounter 3.5 months ago with a close majority 6-round decision win over Goodson.
Ortiz is in the black and red. Goodson is in all pink. And you can see already right out of the gate, they're firing more than they did in their first fight. As Goodson lands a right hand and Ortiz goes to the body with both a right and a left. Their first fight was fought very cautiously, according to both. And Goodson was really disappointed that she didn't have more punch output. She says she took Ortiz lightly. She could have done more. She would have won the fight. Ortiz went out and at least made the fight and won a majority decision.
Well, Goodson, according to the scales, has not taken this one lightly. She's 2 3/4 pounds less than the first time they met. But the bad news is Ortiz understood this was going to be, again, a tough fight. She's 3 3/4 pounds less than their first fight.
Talk about a change in disposition and switching up sports. Sandra Ortiz was a competitive co-ed NCAA cheerleader, and you can imagine at her size, and she said at college when she was cheering for the Kansas Jayhawks, she only weighed about 89, 90 pounds. She was on top of all those pyramids and being thrown into the air at college football games. Goodson swinging with a left hand that misses there.
Well, Goodson's going to turn around the result from the first time they fought and get a win here in the rematch. She's going to do it one way, coming forward and being the boss. Ortiz is going to mix it up a little bit, use those legs and pick spots.
Both fighters committing to the jab here in the final moments of this first round. Now a left hand comes in from Ortiz, but Goodson very, very active in this first round through a lot of punches.
Time! Easy.
16 fighters, they all have one shot at the belt. The question is, who will be the next contender? The contender, Tuesdays at 10 Eastern on ESPN. Of course, last night it got started with a 2-hour season premiere that showed an upset as Michael Clark was eliminated from the contender. So the contender off to a good start. You can catch that Tuesdays at 10. Round number 2. Sandra Marie Ortiz, they call her Smo, taking on Sarah Goodson, a rematch. Goodson lost the first fight back in April by majority decision. She said she wasn't active enough. Boy, she was active in that first round. She threw 88 punches, landed 26 of them. And keep in mind, 88 punches thrown is a lot for a regular round, a 3-minute round. In men's boxing, that was a 2-minute round.
And then again, if Goodson is going to reverse her fortunes from the last time they were in the ring, a close 6-round majority loss to Ortiz, you see how Goodson has her mind set up to do that. To come forward behind that jab and look to be the stronger fighter and land the harder punches. Well, Ortiz is taking the opposite approach. Not looking for big shots all the time, but looking to use her legs to get in and out and pick her spots.
Now on the inside, see a little holding behind the head, and they separate. Ortiz was trying to go to the body, now both committing to the jab.
Right now, again, Goodson concentrating on big shots. For the most part, one at a time. Looking for that big looping right hand. Ortiz looking to flurry a little bit, put punches together, and looking to navigate around Goodson.
Easy.
She seems to understand that she needs to keep Goodson off balance. She seems to understand that Goodson looks to load up and needs to be set to load up. Understanding or no, Ortiz is standing in front of Goodson much too much, and that right hand right there convinced her to get out of that pocket.
Biggest punch of the fight, the right hand from Sandra Goodson here in round 2.
Goodson in the pink seems to be the stronger of the two women, and that's why you would wonder why Ortiz standing in front and collecting that right hand.
I spent some time with Sandra Goodson before the fight, and she was very frank in saying, hey, listen, at this stage of my career, she's 19-15-1. She said, if I lose this fight, that's it. I'm done with boxing. I'm going back to be a factory worker. So there's a lot of desire, a lot of hunger to keep things going here at age 32 for Sandra Goodson. She is in the pink trunks.
Coming in, okay?
A rematch against Sandra Ortiz. Never having dropped the first fight by majority decision back in April. Goodson looking sharp early.
Well, looking at her approach, meaning Ortiz in the red top, her approach coming in here, you could see that she understands that Goodson is stronger and looks to load up with big shots, particularly the right hand. That's why you see Ortiz looking to throw shorter shots, quicker shots, more shots, and use her legs to keep Goodson off balance. But
come on, you can box
one mistake that you see that Ortiz is making, that her memory has not served her well from the first fight, is she's still winding up in front of the stronger Goodson much too often. Ortiz has the right idea, Joe, to use the legs, but the wrong roadmap. She's going in the wrong direction. She's going straight back, and she's centering herself back in front of Goodson. She needs to go laterally to the side, like that.
Come on, you can work out of there.
Final moments of the third round. They're trying to work out of there. A flurry to the body from Sandra Ortiz, letting her hands go.
Time.
3 rounds complete. They're scheduled for 8. If you missed it earlier, our main event, welterweights, the undefeated Antonio Mosquito was taking on Santos Paco. And Mosquito, we talked about the power, the big right hand. It showed up in the 3rd, and it showed up again in the 5th. And then come the 6th, he finished things off, Teddy.
Yes, he did. You can't afford to make too many mistakes in that squared circle, especially when you're in there with a banger. And Pacquiao just made a couple too many mistakes with the power punching Mosquito. He moved the wrong way. He moved to his left, right into the power of that right hand.
So Mosquito now 33-0. You know, we said coming in, boy, we don't know a lot about him. He hasn't been tested. I'm not sure we know anything more about him except for the fact that he has a big right hand.
And he's cocky and he's confident right now, but he still has to be tested, fire tested, like we were talking at the top with different fighters, that we know they have physicality, they have talent, but we don't know inside them how they will behave when their moment comes. We still do not know that about Mosquito.
Round 4, Sandra Ortiz in the black, taking on Sandra Goodson in the pink.
Box.
I'll tell you one thing we can say about Antonio Mosquito, and it's a label that we throw around every so often, and times here on Friday Night Fights we're glad to, especially when they're repeat customers on our air. He's a TV-friendly fighter.
Yes, we do know that. And again, we know that he has the great gift of power that can pull him out of tough situations. And if he builds his game up in other areas, we know he can be somebody to watch.
Sarah Goodson grew up in the Philippines, moved to Arkansas, and this could be the last fight of her career. She said she will retire if she loses this rematch to Ortiz. Ortiz took that first fight on short notice, and she came up with a majority decision win.
Come on, you can box out of that.
Right hand again, looping, and it landed.
Again, you could see the fight for Ortiz is not a power fight. It's a fight of using your legs, navigating a little bit, boxing a little bit, and moving your hands in short amounts, short shots that you hope will control your opponent.
Let her go.
The game in the fight for Goodson is power. Power in that right hand. And so far, Ortiz has fed into that game plan for Goodson by standing in front of her much too much.
And a 4.
Time.
What better way to spend your 79th birthday than to be ringside at Wednesday Night Fights? There's Jean Palmieri. Happy birthday, Jean. She's here in Ontario on Wednesday Night Fights. You think Jean ever figured, oh yeah, birthday number 79, I'm going to be watching Sandra Ortiz and Sarah Goodson?
Seconds out. Mouthpiece is in.
No, says Jean.
She is the mom of one of the people that help us go on the air and do such a great job
Hey, Coach, can you get that
of
one?
every week making sure that we're able to bring the fights to our great fans. But right now, bringing the fight the same way as she's brought it in the previous 4 rounds is Goodson, looking to get close and looking to land something with power. And the bad news for Ortiz, she's been cooperating for the most part. She seemed to have come in here understanding she needed to maneuver a little bit with her legs, but not understanding where those legs needed to take her. Around Goodson, to the sides of Goodson. Not there where she is now, right in front of Goodson.
Tough to get that sweet science in your head when you pick up the game at age 29. She was a college cheerleader back in Kansas during the days of Scott Pollard and Jacques Vaughn. There are the punch track numbers, and you can see Goodson's work rate, 270 punches thrown, doubling the amount of Ortiz.
Put your hand down, Sarah.
Now, if you're going to be the boxer in this case, which Ortiz is, without the gift of the power of being the stronger person in that ring, then you must understand that you need to do other things. Navigate a little bit, box a little bit, and make up for the power of your opponent by throwing more punches when you have the opportunity. Ortiz has that opportunity now on the inside, not making the most of it.
Let her go, Sam.
3 rounds to go between Ortiz and Goodson.
Time.
Alongside Teddy Atlas, I'm Joe Tessitore. This is Wednesday Night Fights, brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Round 6, scheduled for 8, Sandra Marie Ortiz. They call her Smo. She is looking for her 2nd straight win against Sarah Goodson, but Goodson has been determined tonight and has seemingly been in control, throwing over 100 more punches and landing 10 more according to the real-time punch track numbers.
Goodson using her experience of having 39 fights versus the 11 fights for Ortiz, using her experience to make the fight in the place she needs to be, in front, in close, where the strength of Goodson so far has favored her.
Earlier tonight, we saw Antonio Mosquita move to 33-0 with a knockout of Santos Paco. And come Friday night, we will have Anthony Bonsante and Alan Green in our main event, and a co-feature of heavyweight action between Terry Smith and Jameel McCline. So a big week of ESPN boxing just getting started.
When you're boxing somebody who has some power and looks to load up, in this case Goodson looks to load up with that power with the right hand. If you're Ortiz and you don't match that power, you have two choices. Get inside that wide power like she is right now, or get all the way on the outside and give angles and outbox Goodson, who's looking only for one shot. Ortiz has gotten inside that power, but she has not moved her hands when she's been there. And when you're behind in a fight, as I believe Ortiz is, you need to move your hands when you're in a spot like Ortiz has been the last 2 rounds.
Ortiz Goodson through 7. Wednesday night fights from the Hilton in Ontario, California. We remind you to watch The Contender on Tuesdays. Ray and the Gang of Hopefuls, The Contender, Tuesday at 10 Eastern on ESPN. Sugar Ray does such a great job with that. He was our studio guest on Friday Night Fights last week. This week, speaking of unbeaten welterweights, something Ray was one of the greatest at for a time, we saw Antonio Mosqueda move to 33-0 in our main event. And we're wrapping things up here with female strawweights. Both fighters under 5 foot tall. 100-pound Sandra Ortiz in the black, taking on Sarah Goodson, 102 3/4 in all pink.
Part of what you do, or you need to do when you're in that squared circle, is to read the strengths and weaknesses of your opponent and come up with the proper plan to deal with that. Once you read the woman in pink, Goodson, you see that she's a wide swinging puncher, concentrates mostly on the right hand. What you want to do is either be all the way inside the shots or on the outside, giving lateral movement, keeping her from being set to unleash those wide shots. Ortiz has done part of the right job getting inside the wide shots the last couple rounds. Not moving her hands quite enough when she's inside there.
Average punches landed. See the output by Goodson early on, but the last 2 rounds, Ortiz doing better. Let's look at Teddy Atlas's scorecard. We're here in the 7th round through 6. It went 4-2, 58-56. Goodson, first time they met up. Sandra Ortiz in the black with red was able to win a majority decision. That was back in April in Missouri.
As I said, if you're Ortiz and you're fighting somebody who seems to be a little stronger in the power department and throws wide shots, you want to be all the way inside those wide shots or all the way outside. But when you're inside, you want to make sure you move your hands. Ortiz doing a little bit of that, but I don't know if she's doing enough. The one place you don't want to be if you're Ortiz is to pull out in front of a looping puncher.
Ortiz will have 2 more minutes to figure it out. Lights out here on Wednesday Night Fights. James Toney. He is going to be fighting Sam Peter on September 2nd. He is ringside for Wednesday Night Fights. JT, a frequent visitor with us whenever we come to Southern California, lives right here in the LA area. Boy, he's got a lot of ice on tonight, doesn't he? Knows how to do it.
And a little bit of weight on too. Lights better be shut out in the kitchen as he gets ready for a very difficult match at the end of August or the beginning of September with Samuel Peter, the hard-punching heavyweight.
You know, there are a lot of heavyweight title fights coming up on the horizon, but I think that Tony Peter is perhaps the most intriguing heavyweight fight that's coming up. Round 8, final round, Ortiz and Goodson. Goodson wide with a right hand. Teddy Atlas's scorecard. Goodson came on early. Then the 5th and 6th round went to Ortiz before Goodson took the 7th. So she's up 68-65, trying to avenge a loss that she had to Ortiz back in April.
Stop. Don't pull her head down here. No.
Tony Krebs, the referee.
Again, the way to go right now for Ortiz, who's behind on my scorecard, is to get inside those wide shots but to move your hands and do some work. Not to do that. She got away with it that time, Ortiz in the red. But one thing you do not want to do with a looping puncher like Goodson, though, is to pull straight back into those looping punches. You want to stay inside them. You want to go around and keep Goodson off balance where she can't get set to aim them. Or you want to be all the way outside where when Goodson throws, she will leave herself hanging in the air where you can counter.
Get off her head.
Ortiz is inside in a safe place where you can see Goodson is not capable of being effective.
Get your hand
Goodson
down
needs room to punch. She pulls her hands back to punch. When you're inside, you don't give her that room.
Now, when she had that room, she landed a very big right hand in the second round and controlled the action early in this fight.
Time.
8 rounds complete. Goodson had a good go of it. Ortiz feels good about the way things went. We will find out who's feeling good in a few moments when we come back to Wednesday Night Fights and get the decision here in California. Friday Night Fights will be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That is the home of the undefeated, power-punching, super middleweight prospect, Alan Green. He will be taking on Anthony Bonsante, the veteran from Minnesota and the contender participant. Plus, Jameel McCline in a heavyweight fight against Terry Smith. That is a good heavyweight co-feature on Friday Night Fights, your boxing authority. Let's wrap up this 8-round female strawweight fight. The total punches, Goodson threw 465, landed 8 more total punches. Teddy Atlas's scorecard reads this way. Goodson early, 77-75. Let's hear what Jimmy Lennon Jr. has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Jerry Cantu scores the bout 78-74. Max DeLuca sees it 77-75. And David Mendoza scores the bout 79-73. All 3 in favor of the winner, Sandra Goodson.
So Sandra Goodson will keep fighting. She avenges her loss to Sandra Ortiz. The Filipino native gets the 20th win of her career. We invite you to join us for Friday Night Fights. Alan Green against Anthony Bonsante. That'll be at 9 Eastern this